my name is Scott. I'm from the United States originally. I now live in Singapore, and I am the creative director of an English school here in Singapore that teaches primarily Chinese adult students. I have lived in Asia for 10 years, part of which was in Korea, now in Singapore. And I have extensively traveled throughout Europe, Africa, North America, and Asia.
You were born in
My
Minnesota, though.
I was born in the United States. I was born in Minnesota. I once upon a time lived blocks away from where all the news was happening. And my education, I have a bachelor's degree. I don't have any master's or doctorate, but I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, classical studies, and a minor in political science. So I was kind of a lazy academic who didn't want to settle down. And as a consequence, I wound up being able to kind of go anywhere, do anything. I worked for Target for a short period of time. I worked for a religious political organization, which sounds terrible today, but in Minnesota, what that means is trying to feed hungry people and advocating for food policies within the state through the church's advocacy arm.
Mhm.
So it would be they were taxable. This was not a church, but this was the larger church's advocacy arm, and I worked with them in food and hunger programs throughout Minnesota, which is where I have met Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General of Minnesota, who has been in the news quite a bit lately. Yeah, I've met him. But if you're talking about some sort of expertise on the international can appear on the BBC level, I don't exactly have that.
No, of course,
instead, I have.
It's not like we're gonna get in contact with anyone that has that level.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead, I have extensive experience working with people from very many countries of all socioeconomic strata, and I would consider myself an expert at asking and answering questions, or at least delving into the philosophy and psychologies of the people who ask them. So I follow politics closely.
You pick me apart on a daily.
Well, you are also a 16-year-old girl, so no offense, but that is much easier than you think. And but everybody is unique, and I have had a long time experience of doing this with adults as well. So you are not that isolated, okay? Or to be picked on, I should say. But the point I'm trying to make is that I don't have any special expertise. You won't see me appearing before any UN councils, but I have discussed world politics, ethics, logic, philosophy, language, art, and a modicum of sciences with very many people for a long time, helping them to get to understand things. Wow, and right now I work with Lily in literature and getting her to understand narratives and power dynamics.
Yeah, wow. That's great. I feel like we should have better prepared for this discussion because I feel very under prepared. Well, no shit, but yeah.
You can rise to the occasion.
It's just because
we
had an episode.
You can also always try again later.
Yeah, it's mostly because we had like we recorded like something like literally last week and not much. I mean, there's a lot of it that's been happening, but no, literally this week, but we kind of exhausted a lot of topics.
Not really. I mean, yeah, but like no.
Yeah, but like no, because last time we had like 40
minutes. How long did you spend on those topics that you say you exhausted?
Not even that long.
Not even that long.
That's what I'm saying. We should just pick back up around. It's fine.
Yeah, let's pick up.
You touched on a few topics, but I doubt exhausted would be very accurate.
Okay.
I might pick on Lily a little bit, but it's only because I have very high esteem of her. So.
Huh? Pardon?
I said I may pick on you a little bit, but that is only because of my very high esteem in and of you. So.
Yes, her.
No, high esteem of you, Lily.
What? No, you don't have that. No,
I do.
I suck. I suck in this podcast, bruh. It's mostly her. It's mostly her talking.
Like, well then, Marina, why don't you start us off with whatever you'd like to discuss? She threw you under the bus. Don't look at me. You have to.
Well, that's my favorite hobby.
Do you want to
Don't
start?
look at me, bro.
Scott, do you want to start?
Yeah, do you want to start?
Ladies, I'm your guest.
Oh no.
This
Wait,
this
let's-
is kind of on you to
What
start.
if we like
What if we do like a spin the wheel?
Sure. However you want to do things.
wait, let me open the news.
The news.
What happened today?
We
Oh,
were
okay,
listening to this.
I didn't read this. Okay, so like
Okay, so like a few days ago, it was announced that Kristi Nolan was gonna get replaced as the Homeland Security, and she's
Yes.
gonna get replaced by some guy called Mark Wayne Mullen. I'm sorry, guys.
such a
We
bad
were
name.
laughing at the name because
Yeah, he's got a lot of first names for a last name. I know.
yeah.
Oh, reminds me of someone else
Okay.
I know. But and he's like, what was he?
He's a senator
He's a
from
senator.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know where I'm getting with this. Like,
I don't know enough about that situation. Though.
yeah, I don't know enough about it, because I also don't know
I
enough
mean-
about him. Like, I've never really heard
Very
of him
few
before
people do.
this.
He's in a very safe red seat, which
Yeah.
means that anybody with an R next to their name is
That's
likely
true.
to get
That's
elected to his position. He has, I believe, an associate's degree, not a bachelor's degree, if I'm correct. And so he is one of the least educated people to ever be in Congress.
Yeah, because
but
it's his first
not-
term. It's his first term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And he's
he is
gonna be the Department
replacing
of Homeland Security.
Kristi Noem for likely only one reason.
Because Trump really likes him for some reason.
Correct, and that's
Yeah,
the only
Trump-
reason you need.
Yeah, like the insiders keep talking about how like Trump loves hearing him speak and always watches him or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, Trump is known to have crushes on what he thinks are attractive or powerful men, right?
Yeah, that's valid.
When Zoran Madami came to the White House, wow, he was extremely chummy and happy to have that happen,
Mm-hmm.
despite being politically the opposite entity. So he is easily charmed by people he thinks are handsome or powerful, or who just are sycophantic and tell him what he wants to hear. Trump's number one value is Trump, which translates to a form of loyalty. So the most important thing to Trump is not competence, because competence is irrelevant to Donald Trump. What is relevant is only loyalty. And the reason Kristi Noem was fired was not her incompetence or her evil with the managing of DHS. It's because she let slip that Trump probably approved a $200+ million boondoggle of an ad campaign to say how great Donald Trump and the administration was doing, and the fact that they paid a company that only had existed for, I think, something like 7 or 8 days prior to getting the contract.
That's crazy. Yeah, I
So,
remember something about
He
that.
wasn't upset about anything other than her saying that Trump approved of this, which probably actually did happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how he keeps loyalty, right? Like, we wrote about this, but
yeah, we were writing.
like if you look at like the selectorate theory,
Yeah.
how a leader would keep his like coalition loyal is to fire anyone at will because they show disloyalty. Because if everyone is always on edge
Yeah.
about what to say that will please the leader, then no one will say anything. And then that's also what you saw with Elon Musk and also with the world leaders, right? Zelensky, Putin.
There is
back
a
and forth.
Chinese history story, and forgive me, I do not remember the names.
Well, we wouldn't either because we don't know.
But there's a Chinese
Yeah, me
history
neither.
story about some change in power. I don't know if it was a dynastic shift or just an internal family feud, but there was a power shift, and the new eunuchs, the new people in power, before the court, brought in a goat or something of this nature and called it a sheep. And it was a test. Everybody at the court was required to say the incorrect name, to call the goat a sheep, or to call it may not have been a goat or sheep, but to call one thing something that it's not, because that's what the emperor commands, despite it not being truth. And the goal is not to see who knows what a goat and a sheep is. The goal was to see who had more commitment to the truth than to the current power structure. And anybody who chose truth over the power structure was eliminated. So it's not that these people expect the population to believe the lies, it's that you have to repeat them even if you don't.
Yeah.
Double think.
Yeah.
It is double think.
Double
Yes.
Yeah. 1984. Just
Yeah.
says. I'm excited for you to read that.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it as well.
The last time I read, before I read it with Lily in our class now, the last time I read it was when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and you were telling me how about like when Winston was getting. Okay, spoilers. When Winston. Do you want to hear?
Don't spoil. Do not spoil it
I won't
for her.
remember it.
Okay, yeah, then I won't spoil it.
I
Yeah,
didn't
don't spoil
the
it for her.
time. Like I knew who
But I
died
will
before I
say,
finished Lord of the Flies.
Stop, bro.
during
No,
some
you
of the
keep-
drama,
Yeah.
I was very upset, and I was like, "No, the human spirit will endure." I don't
Yeah,
feel
no,
that way
it
now.
is. No, it will not. No, it will not. No way you're gonna survive that. Neither will I. Yeah. Good job. Anyways.
But I mean, I think that's ultimately how, like, Maga will die, right?
Do
That's
you-
kind of why.
I mean,
Maga
like,
can't
once-
die.
No, but I mean, like, sorry, I mean,
No,
like,
under the
why
banner
people fall
of
out
Maga.
of love with
Under
this.
the banner of Maga. Yeah, sure. Like the ideals probably won't die.
It's like
No.
it's like how so during 2020, right? Like woke was really popular, but it's because like people started denying the truth. Not like denying the truth, but like denying what the people thought was the truth. That why it started falling out of power. And now if you look at Trump, he's not like in a State of Union speech. He's not
Are
addressing.
you
things
talking
like-
about? Sorry to interrupt. Are you talking about the term woke?
I'm talking about the movement.
Do you know the etymology of woke, where it comes from?
Oh, I don't.
Woke is a black people word, which is part of the
really?
problem.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Black people's liberation started talking about waking up to the systemic injustices that black people suffer within the United States. That is to say that if you believe the lies that everything is fair and everything is equal and everybody has the same chance and same shot, that you're asleep. And so it started with black communities starting to say, you need to wake up, you need to be woke, which is a black colloquialism. So being woke started, and it started not just with black people, but specifically black women. And black women started coining this phrase as to be aware of your surroundings, aware of the systemic injustices, aware of the problems. And so to be woke was to mean that you no longer believed the lies of a patriarchal white America. Okay. But this necessitated a, let's call it academic, which is a very loose word, an academic discussion in the general conversation of the people of the United States. And this is where white people, white liberals and white leftists signed on to this because of what they probably believed as their black allies being correct about something, and the white people kind of stole it from their black allies. And then white women took it first and started using it for their own liberation, particularly for women more than for people of color. And this generated a kind of self-cycled, repetitive growth of the term until it became a word that kind of meant anti-right, right? It meant against the right. And it was still hearkening at this time when the left used the word, it was still describing and talking about being aware of conservative, fascistic, and authoritarian problems that exist within the makeup of the United States. There's a long, hard-fought battle by black people in particular, but POC in general, to turn America from a country that talks about liberty and freedom and equality and actually create that country. That the actual America does not match this, but man, is it a good dream? Let's try to create that thing that it says it is. Okay. And this battle was largely led by people of color and women in particular.
Mm-hmm.
But once white liberals and white leftists got a hold of this word and tried to expand on it, it lost some of its punch, and it became a way to attack the right as opposed to wake yourself up. It's about how those people are bad and you need to be woke about those people. And while that may have still been accurate, the right interpreted it as an attack word and started to mock it, particularly out of the misogyny that especially right-wing men have towards right-wing white, left-wing white women. Okay, so this is why in the last couple of years during Trump's second rise to power, people asked, oh, don't be woke. The right now uses this word almost exclusively because they co-opted this word. It has become a term that the right uses. And when you ask them, what does it mean? They don't know. Because it just means not right, not on our side. It means other. So that othering, that's the other side. And the sportification of politics worldwide and in America particularly means that the other team is always the bad guy, regardless of how good or bad that team is, or how skilled or poorly skilled that team is. Sorry, was that too much?
No.
But I think in that sense, like, the modern, like, woke movement isn't woke because it's fighting for liberties, not in a sense of, like, restoring the system, but rather, like, finding liberties within the system, if that makes sense. Like, for example...
Can you?
Sorry, what?
The biggest argument right now is, can you find liberty from within the system at all?
No. In my opinion, no. Like, for example, empowering sex work, right? That's finding liberty within the system of patriarchy, because sex work is, like, a lot of the industry and stuff is patriarchal.
Yeah.
Well, let me challenge you. What if you didn't need money?
Pardon?
So Marina has suggested, what if we freed women to engage in sex work safely and autonomously, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, why would women choose to engage in this at all if they didn't need money?
I mean, I don't know. I don't personally know anyone that, like, has, like, those, like...
You don't have a lot of hooker friends? Is that what you're talking?
Yeah,
you don't have like your whole... She's got the Lily group of friends.
I hope I don't.
Hey, people travel in multiple circles. We don't judge here, all right? So,
yeah, what happened to no judgment?
Yeah.
But
no, she's a big judge.
No, but
so am I.
The question is, it could also be like sex work. You're right. Could sex work be viewed in the same lens as, say, flipping burgers, right?
Yeah.
Do people really want to go and flip burgers? Not necessarily. They need money, right?
Yeah.
So in that context, sure, there could be some equality or liberty to be found, but the best you're going to do is still under the house or the umbrella of a capitalist system that exploits everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. System. I'm just saying, like, the modern woke movement is working too much within the system, which contradicts like your idea of the historical etymology.
The historical thing is about the system is broken.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. The original woke was the system is broken and it can't be fixed. Yeah. And so woke as a word has been co-opted by the right. Words fluctuate in their meaning. This is one thing I do have expertise in. I'm not an etymologist and I'm not a linguist, but I have taught language for a long time. And watching how language change. For example, do you know what the word idiot means?
Like a stupid person.
Okay, what kind of stupid person?
Someone who makes dumb mistakes.
A few moments later.
There we go. All right, I'm trying to provide privacy to other people in my house. So. All right. I apologize for the Venetian veranda that I seem to be in here. All right. Anyway.
Hi, kids.
We were discussing etymology and the origin and the word idiot. Okay. The word idiot, means stupid person, but I asked what kind of stupid person. Are there different kinds of stupid people?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, would you call somebody with mental disabilities an idiot?
No.
No.
That is the original meaning.
Mm.
Oh.
So this is one of the problems of language, right? Now we use idiot to describe primarily our friends. We don't even describe our idiots because it's almost an affectionate term, right? When your friend does something that is unwise.
Yeah.
But the original term was used for the people who have a not fully developed cortex or a brain, or somebody who had, another word was a simpleton, right? And we don't use this language any longer. It was replaced by, do you know what word came after it?
The R word.
The R word, which
Yeah.
I will say because we're discussing language, retard. Okay. To retard as a verb is to hold back. Okay. For example, if you look at a fire extinguisher, it says flame retardant.
Yeah. But even
It doesn't
even then,
stop it.
it's even like with the new term, it's also kind of lost its like
Yeah.
its meaning because
Right.
like it used
These
to be
meanings
a
shift
really
over time.
big thing. Don't say the R word, right? But then now everyone says it all the time.
Well, that's partly a backlash.
Yeah.
But you have to ask yourself, why did people start to use the R word instead of idiot?
Because idiot lost its meaning, maybe?
Idiot became insulting. People started calling non-developing mental needs individuals, they started calling their friends idiots to compare them to people who actually have developmental disabilities or developmental
But that's the same
handicaps,
thing that
right?
happened with the R word. No.
And that's exactly what happened with the R word. So it moved into
Yeah.
special needs or into mentally handicapped. And then calling somebody mentally handicapped became an insult. And so people wanted to move away from that and they used developmentally disabled. But of course, disabled means they can't do when they should be able to do. So it became special needs. And then the word special, people would use the word special with a little bit of tone in their voice to mean insulting, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is it's a chase where people want a non insulting word to describe these very real human beings with real needs and emotions. And then other people want to describe their friends or colleagues or enemies as similar to those people in an insulting fashion. Because at the end of the day, humans generally loathe weaknesses. Any weakness of any kind will be a reason for somebody to insult someone else. And so it chases. There's a similar phenomenon in you're talking about sex work. There's a similar phenomenon in the way nightclubs work, where you'll have a gay bar, for example, where traditionally gay men go to dance and hook up, right? But who loves the gay bar the most?
Women.
Women like to go to the gay bar. Why do women like to go to the gay bar where men will not be interested in them?
Because then they'll be left alone, I guess.
Because then they'll be left alone. Then they can dance with their friends. So what happens when word gets out that this is the bar that all the women are going to?
The straight men will come.
The straight men show up. Is this a gay bar anymore?
No.
No. So the women are trying constantly to find a safe place where they feel comfortable and happy and can dance with their friends. And men are constantly trying to find the place where the women are. And so the location there will never be a time that it ever becomes solidified or becomes stable. There's always this evolving situation, right? And so with language, this is also what's happening. What happens with woke is that now, and this is very common of fascism. Fascism, you can read a lot of materials on this, but fascism will constantly co-opt the language of the left. A perfect example is the fascist party of the 1930s Germany. What was it called? Do you know?
Oh, the National Socialist something.
Yeah.
Right. The National Socialist Party of Germany, right? They were not socialists
Yeah.
at all. So why do they put socialist in their name?
Oh, so like maybe people can be like, that's not right wing, that's socialist.
Right. But it co-opted the language of actual social. It was the National Socialist Workers Party. They didn't care about workers and they weren't definitely not socialist. But they got to use those words in their advertising.
Yeah.
Right? It's like North Korea. Or North Korea's official title is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It is not democratic, it's not for the people, and it's not a republic.
Yeah.
right?
Yay.
So advertising and branding is incredibly important when you think about movements, politics, and general discussions that people have. A lot of people are convinced by a label. Oh, it says less fat on my donut. My donut has less fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean it's healthy?
No.
No, it's still very fat. Less fat does not mean no fat.
Mhm.
If it was 200 grams of fat before and now it's 199, that's less fat.
Yeah.
But people will buy it.
Advertising.
Another good example is the word sale. How often have you ladies seen, ooh, there's something at 50% off? And you want to go in the store. Yes?
Black Friday as well.
Yeah, Black Friday. You see the word 50% off sale and you go in the store and you see the dress that is now 50% off and it's only $250. Oh, it used to be $500. Are you saving money?
Oh yeah, like no, yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because you haven't asked yourself what the price has been over the last year. If the price was originally $250 for 9 months, and then 3 weeks before the sale, they raised the price to $500, they can then lower the price to $250 and call it a 50% off sale.
I see.
Now, I believe in Europe, there are things that have to have price histories, which is really good. Some countries have price history laws, which is very, very good. But generally, people fall for the word sale, even if it's not. So this
America
branding
doesn't
of
have-
language is very
America
important.
doesn't
America's
have-
like no regulation.
What's that?
I know. I was saying like so America doesn't have price history laws, and then Marina said America has like no regulation.
Yeah, the anti-regulation word I'm looking for, phenomenon, I guess, started with the late 1970s with Jimmy Carter. A lot of people think it's Reagan, and Reagan did do a lot, but it actually started with Jimmy Carter, and he started deregulating things like the airlines, actually, before Reagan got a hold of it. And the deregulation was the belief that when democracy and capitalism conflict with each other, which side should you default to? And in the FDR era of the United States, the answer was the people. The answer was democracy. And that's why the business plot, the not Nazis, but the fascists of the United States tried to overthrow FDR, and it's called the business plot. You can look this up, and overthrow the president of the United States and install a dictator. It didn't work because that period of history, just people weren't in the same mindset. But you add 20 years of prosperity, and a lot of people have a lot more money, and suddenly keeping their money and not sharing it becomes more important. And when the 70s hit, the stagflation, this huge period of economic downturn, caused people to ask, oh no, what's the problem? Is it our democratic policies? Is it our socialist policies? Well, no, it was a worldwide downturn, and it was OPEC, and it was international relationships, and it was American interventionism in a lot of other places that created the situation. It wasn't isolated to regulatory policies in the United States, but that's what got the blame. And so, starting with Carter, they started to roll back some of these regulations. And when it got to Reagan, the 80s was full of just deregulation. And so, regulation was viewed as the enemy because it stymies or stifles economic growth. But that is extremely doubtful at this point. You can look at wage of real earnings from 1974 onward, and you'll see that productivity increased, but wages stayed the same. Before that, wages and productivity had been matched. So you add that to the lack of education funding, because as wages declined, tax revenue stagnated, which means that education was not as funded as it should be. And they shipped our factories over to China, which means all the middle class jobs left the United States, and they did not replace it with high level education jobs. So the whole point was they were supposed to stabilize the world with the American petrodollar control all these bases around the world, and then transfer our working population in the United States from a factory society into an intellectual, creative society using the rest of the world as its resource. But they didn't do that second part with the education.
Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. That's very
And
funny.
and they actually went the opposite direction. They started cutting funding for education because, again, power likes to perpetuate itself, and the Republicans noticed that educated people don't tend to vote for them.
Yeah, but also another thing is like we were discussing it last time, but like the 4-year term cap. So, are you in favor of that? Because, like, I think Marina pointed
For
out
whom?
before.
Presidents, you mean?
Like presidents. Yeah, no.
Presidents have a 2-term cap,
Yeah.
which is a total of 8 years.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, we've
I
talked
wasn't
about this
saying.
before.
Yeah, I wasn't saying like we should abandon a cap because I understand like we don't want
Yeah,
dictatorship.
no, but
But
like
we're just saying.
Yeah, I think I can't remember who was saying it.
Well, the
before,
cap,
but
We
the
were
cap
just
is
saying
new.
like it makes like policies really short term and more visible versus like presidents will
like,
enact less like system wide long term projects that
Yeah.
may
'Cause-
like not look that attractive on the outside.
Well, there's a lot of that in capitalism too. But
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
the
For
two-term limit is not to protect from dictators. Actually,
Oh really? Oh.
no. A lot of people think it was to protect from dictators, but there was an American president who served 4 terms.
Oh yeah. Like was it?
That was FDR.
Yeah.
FDR. Well, he won a 4th term, but he died soon into his 4th term. But he was elected 4 times. And as an honor to him, I've heard different arguments about this, but it was after FDR that the Democrats who elected FDR wanted to honor him so that he could be the only president who ever served more than 2 terms. And the Republicans wanted this to never happen again because the Democrat lasted in power for a really long time. So everybody kind of agreed. One agreed out of like, oh, we love him, and the other was like, we can never let this happen again. Because I cannot stress just how much conservatives hate FDR. Like they hate him so much because of his regulatory reforms, Social Security, tax structures, etc. So they never wanted this to happen again. So the 2-term limitation on the presidency is explicitly because of FDR. It's not to stop tyrants.
Okay.
Now it may be used for that end, but that wasn't its original purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay. So as we were saying, okay,
You
whatever.
ladies already look tired. I'm so
I
sorry.
can't. I'm so sorry. Like my brain is.
Wait, speaking of
everywhere today.
FDR, like, can you help us for our INS assignment? Like, do you think? Well, this is not FDR related, but Truman. Like, do you think the Hiroshima
Truman?
bomb was
Yeah.
justified?
Do you think the Hiroshima bombs were justified?
Yeah, we have to write an essay about this.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I generally say no. That I used to say yes. I used to think
Yeah. Wait,
it's
let
an
me
easy
pull-
button to push. But I've watched a lot of video essays on it recently. I've heard a lot more things recently, and it looks like Japan was really close to surrendering anyway.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
I've also
wait.
seen a lot of arguments that it was not the Japanese who were designed to be impressed by the bomb. It was the Soviets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Primary purpose was, and that was probably not necessary
Yeah.
to do. So was it necessary? I think probably not. Did it save American lives? Maybe.
Yeah. No.
I
Okay,
think it's
so-
really hard to say.
So I had to take the affirmative stance on this. So I had to, in the debate that we had in class, I had to take the affirmative stance. So on the topic of like, oh, Japan being close to surrender, yeah, it was like, but it was like peace feelers, right? So it was like people who came and like, oh yeah, maybe they'll be willing to surrender. Because like the negative stance, they were arguing that if the Soviets joined the war, it would have forced Japan into surrender. But even then, it's like prolonging the conflict,
Well,
right? Yeah.
The Soviets did get in the war, and they took over parts of Manchuria that China
Yeah.
still claims to this day.
Yeah, and so, but also like, okay.
Well, let me help
the
you.
things that I'm
Let me
saying,
help
like,
you
I
with the
don't
affirmative-
necessarily believe
affirmative
in, but
stance.
like, I'm just like, I just want to see your
Yeah.
stance.
I'll help you with the affirmative stance. In war, killing the enemy is good.
That's true.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, but like,
Like part of when we say justification, right? What we're talking about is moral justification.
yeah.
The problem with moral justification is we talk a lot about the two nuclear bombs, but we don't really ever talk about the firebombing of Tokyo, which
Yeah.
killed more
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
The
if
firebombing
they
of Tokyo
didn't, if
killed
they
more
didn't,
people than the nukes did.
yeah, and the thing is, if they didn't use the nukes, right, they would have continued their firebombing and like naval blockades, and
Well, and firebombing isn't strategic, or I should say, it's
well,
not.
no, they dropped it on like wooden sections.
Well, Tokyo was wood,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
so was Hiroshima, so was Nagasaki, so was like, but the firebombing itself is to kill people. It's
yeah,
not to destroy war materials. It's not to destroy planes or guns or manufacturing. It's just to kill people. Like the people are the target of a firebomb. And
yeah,
Americans did that too. And we don't really discuss the moral efficacy of the firebombing like we do the nuke.
yeah. Because
And
like the nuke was
so,
flashy, it was big, it was sudden.
right. So the question is, when we say the moral justification of the nuke, what are we really talking about? Are we talking about the moral justification of war? Because in that case, the firebombings are also equally bad, and I do think the firebombings are equally bad. In fact, there's a whole really interesting another podcast if you want to watch it, Behind the Bastards of the Doomsday Machine. Specifically, not the people who invented the nuclear weapon. No, that's a different category. But the people who were in charge of the structure and system of deployment after its creation. These people are crazy. You can hear about it in Behind the Bastards. It's an amazing like 3-part podcast. And the gist of it is that there were people in World War I who truly believed with the invention of the airplane, they could stop all war if you just have enough bombers. And they were wrong. Essentially, they were just wrong, but these wrong people were kind of in charge on all sides in China, USSR, and the United States. These people were wrong for 80 years,
Yeah.
but kind of led the way that military doctrine was created in all of these nation states. Specifically, they really thought that if you have enough bombers, you can do so much emotional damage, as the kids would say today. You can do so much emotional damage to the enemy
Stop.
that
That
they'll
hasn't
just
been said
quit.
in ages. You're such a.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Am I behind the times?
Yeah.
What would it be? Negative vibes?
Negative
Bad vibes?
Stop. Yeah. It's just
Making
a
really
negative
cringe
vibe.
is the purpose of my
Ew.
appearance on the podcast
Ew.
here. But
Ew.
so these people who thought bombing could solve everything created the American response structure to how to use nuclear weapons in a Cold War or a hot war scenario. And so the nuclear weapon usage comes from this idea: if you just bomb the enemy enough, they'll give up. But in 0% of conflicts has that been true.
Mhm.
The Americans bombed the Japanese and they did give up. They bombed the Japanese, they didn't give up. Oh, they gave up right after the nuke. Then it probably wasn't the nuke, honestly.
Yeah.
The
No, 'cause
Germans
also, like,
bombed
in-
the British and bombed the British,
Yeah.
and they didn't give up. The Americans bombed the Vietnamese and they didn't give up.
Yeah. Oh.
Nobody seems to give up from being bombed. In fact,
Yeah.
it has seemingly the opposite result.
Yeah. Because also, like, in like when it comes to the Japanese, like, and the surrendering, right? Like in the 2,700 years of like history, like they've never surrendered to like a foreign power, like when it comes to war, and also, like, with the was it Bushido? Oh wait, let me check this.
Bushido Code.
Yeah, Bushido Code, like death before dishonor, right? So, it's literally baked into there.
But what you also have to realize about the Bushido Code is that much like honor codes and other structures, the top elite don't really follow it.
Oh.
It's always the people underneath that follow it.
Yeah.
So, and all of those codes, those honor codes, the chivalric code of the Middle Ages, all of those were designed for morals and patterns of behavior that the ruling classes could use, not on the working class, not on the peasantry, but on what's called the guardian class, what Plato would call the silver souls. Okay,
Mhm.
in his book, The Republic, he talks about the gold,
Oh, you were
silver,
reading that.
and bronze
I'm
souls.
so bored. I don't read anymore.
Stop.
Yeah.
And basically, it's Plato's attempt. The Republic is Plato's attempt at, well, his second attempt at creating a perfect society. And in it, he argues that you have the bronze souls, which are people who work with money, they till the land, they create resources, they're artisans, craftsmen. Basically, like 80% of the population are these bronze souls. Then you have the silver souls. The silver souls are people who guard from other outside people. These is your military class.
Yeah.
This is your military caste. And the important thing with the silver souls is that they cannot own property. They are collectivist. They live in the barracks together. It's all men. There are no women's silver souls in the ancient Greek Republic, but it is this, they live in the barracks, they don't own personal property, and they can't own money. Instead, so they'll never be rich. Instead, what they have is honor and duty. So everybody will respect the silver souls, but that's basically all they get. Okay. And at the very top, you have the gold souls who design and manufacture and make sure the society is well running and well maintained in policy, etc. Guess who the gold souls are? Teachers.
Oh.
Specifically, philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
Because a philosopher who cares mostly about philosophy doesn't actually want to rule. He only does it like people have to do as a chore. So it's like you and your philosopher friends, it's your turn to be leader. And you're like, oh no, man, I want to go do philosophy. I don't want to run the city or the country. It's like, too bad, it's your turn. Oh, okay, fine. And then you have to go be a leader for like a few years until you can finally get back to what you really want to do, which is teaching people. Also, the gold souls control education. So they find the really smart kids who should be also gold souls, and they teach them a lot. And they find the people who should be bronze souls, and they send them to be to learn from other bronze souls on how to do the crafts. And they find the silver souls who should be guardians and who will be strong and powerful, but also care mostly about duty and honor. Right. So this was his perfect society. It doesn't work for so many reasons, and the first reason is you have to lie to the people because there's no such thing as gold, silver, and bronze souls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you have to tell them that they're born that way. So, also, philosophers giving up power is probably not that likely. So, but his first society, that was his second attempt. His first society was just a communal society of a few hundred people living in a village together, and they have zero luxuries. But he said, if you have zero luxuries and you have a few hundred people living together, everybody shares everything, you have a perfect society. That was his first attempt. And all his students were like, no, 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 we want luxuries. We want wine. We want clothes and things. And it's like, well, if you want luxuries, then, and the whole rest of the book is him trying to bring back luxury.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but what you said about like the firebombing and stuff, and like how people rarely talk about it because nothing like nothing really vivifies it the same way that like the nukes did, like as in like human casualty, right? But the same, like I guess the same can be said about the deaths across like Asia and like, oh, I hear piano, my bad. And like the deaths caused by the Japanese, so like what, but also like,
well, I think what you're touching on also still affects today, not just in nuclear weapons, but in nuclear power, nuclear energy.
Yeah.
If you ask people if they like, especially leftists, if you ask leftists, do you like nuclear energy? Many of them will say no.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is why? Why do they dislike nuclear energy? What's the popular answer, do you think?
Popular answers, I guess, like we've seen the destruction it can make, or like.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is coal has killed more people yearly than nuclear energy has ever done in total.
Mm-hmm.
The pollutants caused, and I'm not even just the pollutants, coal is also radioactive.
Oh,
there's
I never
also there's also radioactivity found in coal production, coal manufacturing and production. And the radiation-based diseases and problems are kind of on par with nuclear power radiation problems, etc. So it's not even, coal is not even cleaner than on radiation than nuclear power. And of course, leftists will say, well, we want to use solar and wind. And it's like, yes, we do want to use those, but they're insufficient.
Yeah.
And so nuclear power is just better. There's something called a base load. You need a minimum load of energy in any given place. And for base loads, nuclear power is much more reliable than wind or solar or hydroelectric.
Yeah.
But the coal killing people isn't sexy. You're not afraid. If you see a coal plant, you're driving through China, you're driving through Germany in the next 10 years, and you see a coal plant, you don't have an immediate fear of, oh, I'm close to radiation, right?
Yeah.
But if you see a nuclear plant in France, part of your brain remembers Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island or Fukushima, right?
Yeah.
Because it's dramatic. And human brains remember drama more than they remember statistical data.
Yeah.
Which is why when Lily and I study so much literature, I focus heavily on the emotional impact and the drama, because that's the way people think, whether or not it's real. Yeah. So to answer your question, was it justifiable? The question is to whom, right? Are the Japanese happy about it? No.
Yeah.
You know?
No shit, Sherlock.
A better question would be, how do the Chinese feel about it?
No, the Chinese, like, they still hold it. Like, they still hold a deep grudge, like, even after.
I know. I have some racist students in my classes whom I have to.
Yeah,
they're all racist.
I know. And, like, when I go back to China, like, my granddad, he's like, oh, 小日本.
I made quite a few students. I was substitute teaching for another teacher, so it's not even my class. And we got in there, and the book was talking about, do you want to visit Tokyo? It's just English, like, talking about trip.
Assassination
And one of my students
attempt
said,
on
and one of my students says, no, I never want to go to
Zorn
Tokyo.
Mondani?
And I asked why, and she's like, oh, because of the current tension between China and Japan over Taiwan. But the point isn't about the politics of Taiwan or Japan's position. The point is, regular Japanese people don't think about this, but Chinese people do, and they're told by their government to have opinions about this.
Yeah.
And so I had to spend some time, and I made 2 or 3 students in that class extremely agitated by suggesting that the Japanese people who are alive today are not evil.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
There are evil Japanese people, don't get me wrong. There are evil every people.
Yeah.
But as a collective, there's nobody alive from them. And the terrible thing is that the Japanese government and army and navy did to China are unconscionable. I'm aware of them, and the rape of Nanking was awful. But does that justify the nuclear destruction that not even the Chinese enacted, right? So it's really interesting to see how people think of justification and morality when you have some relativity, but also just fear, right? So the question I would ask is not, are we asking this is morally justifiable or not? I'm much more curious is it effective?
I see,
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced it was.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced it was effective.
So then, if you don't think it was a bomb that forced them to surrender, what do you think was the reason? Because you did say, like,
inevitability.
The bombing's not really. Okay. That's fair.
Inevitability. There were already talks. I saw a recent video essay that said the high command was already discussing things, and they kind of wanted to. There are arguments. There were arguments that Japan wanted to surrender before the Soviets got really involved. Because as bad as Americans are, the Soviets had a reputation.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
Especially watching what happened in Germany and Poland. So there were arguments. There was disagreement. There were definitely people who wanted to fight until the last Japanese person died.
Yeah.
but
yeah, like in
most of the
Japanese
high,
documents. Okay, I don't know how true this is, but in, like Japanese
yeah, we
documents,
don't.
it stated that like they're prepared to accept up to 28 million civilian deaths, which is like okay, I don't know.
Right, and those are crazy people because here's the
Yeah.
thing: in every culture, you're going to have the crazies who will
Yeah.
do it until the very end.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best ways to prove that this is not prove, but evidence against the efficacy of the nuclear weapon was they didn't surrender after the first one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody said, oh, we had to drop a second one to show them we could. Well, if we did it once and we were really confident we could do it once, we could just make more. Right? So if you're in Japan and you see what they did to your city, do you have a thought of, well, they could only do it once?
Yeah, I see.
So I don't think the second one was actually proof of anything, and they didn't surrender after the first one, which means I don't think the first one causes the surrender, and I don't think they're like, oh, the Americans can do this forever. No, because again, firebombs. Americans
Yeah.
could do this forever just using firebombs.
Yeah.
So I am less when I was young, I used to think it's video game mentality. It's I found the weakness and I pushed the button and now I win. It's the final move. It's like the knockout punch, right?
Mhm.
But that's a narrative. That's a story we tell ourselves. That's not usually how it's not how actual fights work. If you've ever seen like a fist fight on YouTube, there's not some climactic moment where one person punches the other, they're laid out flat, and there's an absolute victor. Usually people kind of crawl away before then, or fights are dissolved. Things just don't happen that way. We do that in narratives. We do that in story. We have a climax of the story, and then we have resolution, which is why people like to believe that.
Mhm.
Because it's the climax of the story. The World War II story ends with two huge explosions. How America is that?
Yeah.
That's fireworks,
Mhm.
baby. Right? Now, I'm not making light of those deaths. I'm saying the Americana of it all is very much a narrative driven by Americans after World War II.
I think it's because he stretched his arms out.
Oh, then what if we stretch our arms out? Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Don't stretch it more.
But
Bruh.
another argument is like it was causing less casualties than Operation Downfall. Like, do you think there was a third option, if you know, a third option other than the nuclears and Operation Downfall that would have been effective?
Well, how evil am I in this scenario? If I'm in charge of the United States, if I am Truman, and I've decided not to use the nuclear weapons for whatever reason, how evil am I regardless?
I don't know, like I guess like lessen casualties still.
My goal is to minimize casualties,
Yeah.
Or minimize like economic.
Yeah, sure.
economic input. Why don't I tell the Japanese if they don't surrender, I'll give them to Russia?
Would that work?
What do you think? Oh, Americans aren't going to invade you. Russia will.
That, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Oh.
Would the Japanese prefer that?
No.
Yeah, no.
I think that would be a highly effective threat.
I see.
Yeah, but
Okay,
the
okay.
threat
But
is a
it
threat,
wouldn't.
right?
It would not serve my geopolitical interest. But it would be a very powerful threat.
That's
Like,
true.
oh, we're gonna get Germany, and we're gonna give. We've talked with the Russians. We'll take Germany, and we'll give them Japan. How quickly do you think the Japanese would want to surrender?
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Or even better, we're gonna give you to China.
Oh, they'd hate that. Yeah, I mean they wanted China's resources.
You can surrender to us, or we're gonna give the boats to Chinese.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Also,
So there's a lot of ways to make it worse for the
Also,
Japanese
Zoro
without.
had like an assassination attempt.
like just now.
No, not just
Wait,
now. It was
what?
7 hours. Like they
Why
arrested
did-
the people. They arrested
Who's
the people.
what? Who got assassinated?
Zora Mamdani. Nearly got
Oh,
assassinated.
no. No, he didn't. There was a bomb.
Yeah,
There was a bomb
Was
that was
smoking
thrown at the
projectiles.
protesters by counter protesters at
outside,
this event.
like near Mamdani's home.
Oh,
yeah.
never mind. Okay, yeah.
It was near his house.
That's so scary.
Wow, guys. Whoa. Sorry, I just got like a notification. I was like, what's this?
As your teacher, I suggest turning off your notifications for anything like that because you can read about it the next day and you don't have to stress. I worry about the development
It's okay.
of your brain thinking the world is
I have
constantly
my
in peril.
BBC notifications on, but I don't usually open the news unless like it interests me or like I have some time.
Right, but notifications are basically a way to have have your phone go, oh look,
That's
the
true.
world is ending. Oh look, the world is ending.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
look, the world is ending. That can't be healthy for your brain.
Am I healthy? No.
That's fair.
So
that's
it's like
fair.
not like I can fuck it up any further.
I think there's a possibility you are healthier at 16 than I was.
Wow, thank you. That's not a very high
Oh.
bar though.
No, it's not a high bar at all. That is true.
From what you've told me,
But
that's not a high bar.
yeah, it's not a high bar, but it's a bar, and so it's there.
Yeah, great.
So, are you ladies? This is a good opportunity to ask you: are you ladies concerned about war and conflict and economics for your generation? And if so, in what way are you preparing yourselves, either emotionally or practically?
I don't know.
Our friend is gonna be an engineer.
They're just gonna make us a
make us
World
a
War III
bunker.
bunker. No, it's all like at this point, like nothing's set in stone. Like there's not much. We just have like jokes.
No, the thing is, like, at this point, like, you don't. I feel like if World War III starts, you wouldn't know. Like, hot take. I don't think you would know.
Oh yeah, they're not going to inform you. Why would they
No,
tell
I mean-
you or me?
No, I mean, but like, all the times we thought World War III would start, it didn't start. So I feel like when
But yeah, I
World War III
remember
starts,
when like Russia invaded Ukraine. Everyone's like World War III is gonna start.
yeah,
And then it didn't start. And then like.
and now and then the Iran thing, like a long time ago, that only lasted like 12 days. People thought World War III was gonna start. It didn't. Now we don't know if World War III will start.
Yeah.
So
They're getting
I
more
think
ballsy.
the problem
Remember the balls
That's
squad?
true.
the problem is, what do you think World War III is?
That's a good question. I
Yeah.
feel like World War III would be conflict at multiple regions. Because right now, technically, it's a world war, as in a lot of countries are involved.
Yeah, but like
But the conflict is concentrated.
only as
The conflict is concentrated, yeah.
in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So there's a phenomenon called Pax Americana, which is a reference to Pax Romana, which meant that while the Roman Empire was in charge, the subjects of the Roman Empire did not fight each other. Okay? Despite the fact that Rome was constantly at war on its borders with somebody or another, the Germans or the people in the Middle East or in Crimea or even Britain for that matter, Rome was always at war with somebody on the fringes, usually the Goths. Okay, and despite that, during this time, most countries were peaceful because they don't fight each other. You're all owned or you're all like neighboring Rome, and so you don't really want to fight each other because if you fight each other, maybe Rome will take you over, which usually did happen anyway. But the whole point is it was called Pax Romana. Pax Americana is the fact that, in general, since World War II, there has not been a major conflict. Now, I know that really sucks to say because, like, what about Korea? What about Vietnam? What about Iraq 1 and Iraq 2?
Yeah.
What about the conflicts in Kashmir between Pakistan and India? What about all the conflicts in Africa between various nations, the Congo and Sudan and South Sudan and all these different places, the cartels in Mexico? But the reality is all of those are extremely minor in death and economic cost compared to World War II and compared to World War One.
And also because
So
they're not explicitly like linked to each other, so it can't really be called like a.
Well, yes, but also the fact that they're called low intensity conflicts. And a lot, in fact, most conflicts that have happened after World War II, including the ones in which multiple nations are engaged, are actually usually civil wars. Korea was divided by not Koreans, by the West and by the Soviets. And so the North Koreans attempt to reunify that country, and the South's resistance. It's not a civil war, but it's really close to one, right? You could technically, like, it's an externally created civil war. Vietnam was a civil war. Darfur and South Sudan are a civil war. Myanmar is in a civil war. Most of these are internal conflicts. Not all of them, but most of them.
Mhm.
The largest scale operation that has happened, I mean, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, but the Soviets invaded Afghanistan with fewer people. It was more like their Vietnam, and it might have led to the empire's collapse. But that was even low conflict compared to what Russia is now doing in Ukraine. What happened in Ukraine is the largest conflict we have seen in a long time. It's larger than America's conflict in Iraq by
Mhm.
far, or Afghanistan. And so the numbers are bigger, but it's still lower. But this is now what I would call a medium grade conflict. And that suggests that Pax Americana is coming to an end.
Ah.
I see.
Mhm.
And if Pax Americana is coming to an end, it's probably because there's a typographical shift in the American government, perhaps changing from democracy to empire, for example,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which happened in Rome,
Mm.
as per the previous example. So, if America engages in empire, and America has been an empire before, just so we're clear, America has done empire-y things its whole life, especially in the Western Hemisphere, in the Central and South America. So the behavior with Venezuela, unfortunately, is not new. It's just shocking today because of TV and the fact that the Monroe Doctrine has not been used in
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of a return to the old ideas of the spheres of influence.
Yeah.
I control my little part of the world, you control your little part of the world. And Trump, thinking like a cartel or like a mafia boss, thinks he can go to your store and go, "That's a nice store you got there. Be ashamed if something happened to it." And if you don't pay him, he wrecks your store or bombs your country.
Yeah. And tries to reenact a new leader that will be more pliant.
I will say, I don't want to give him or fascists any credit, but I think Trump may have accidentally stumbled on or been guided to it by Putin, a new concept of war which has never been possible before.
Oh yeah.
In the
explain.
past, if you had beef, do the kids say beef? If you had beef
Yeah.
with your neighbor,
Stop.
okay,
No.
if you had beef with your neighbor and you really hated the king next door, you can't just go over there and punch the king in the face. You're going to get shot with arrows or stabbed in the face with a sword. So you got to get a bunch of your boys to come with you to go punch that king in the face. But he's got his own boys, and well, this is an army, this is a war, right? So the problem of leadership is that you can't just off the leadership of other countries without having to fight larger scale conflicts. That has been true for a very long time. I'm not sure that's true anymore. The United States may have progressed its military capabilities to the point where it can kill leadership in other countries without needing to do a full war.
Mm.
And that's exactly what Putin was trying to do when he invaded Ukraine. He didn't, like, yeah, he wants pieces of Ukraine now, but his original goal was to go in, kill all the Ukrainian leadership, put in Russian cronies, and leave, and then just know that Ukraine is basically your ally because of the leadership, which kind of gives you de facto control over all the resources. You don't need to own the shop, right? You just need to make sure the shop owner pays you tithes, pays you respect,
Yeah.
right? You don't care who the shop owner is as long as they give you respect. So
Yeah,
you
or
kill the
like,
shop
or
owner
like they're
until you
scared
get a new
enough
shop
of you,
owner.
or they're scared enough of you to like work with you, or
Right.
yeah.
And I think Trump probably learned it from Putin, is doing the same thing. He literally abducted Maduro from Venezuela,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Venezuela is not going to go to war for Maduro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bombed and killed all the leadership of Iran, and Iran is shooting all its missiles and stuff, but it doesn't really look effective, does it?
Yeah. And also Trump
Like
was
it,
like saying, "Oh yeah, here's like the potential new candidates for the new leadership."
they're all dead.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, they're
Bomb
already
them.
dead.
They're already dead.
But I'll say this: like the UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Israel, although Israel's a cause here, but Lebanon and all these places with the American bases are getting hit by weapons. Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care if his allies get hit. He doesn't really care if Americans die.
Yeah.
What he cares about is that the other guy knows if you don't do what I say, you die. Not your country dies. Not your shop gets firebombed. You, the shop owner, are going to be put in the ground.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going back to the old days before nation states, where you're not fighting a nation, your leadership is fighting their leadership, and the rest of us are just along for the ride.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're getting.
So civilians get to die and soldiers get to fight. But does the Iran war, and it is a war, does the Iran war between the United States and Iran feel like a real war, or does it feel weird?
Yeah, a little bit weird, I guess. Yeah.
People are dying.
Yeah.
Like, it looks apocalyptic in Iran.
Yeah.
But what's happening to the United States?
Like, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, people are dying in Qatar and Dubai, and every death is a tragedy. But does Trump care?
No.
No. Does he have, like, is there anything to force him to care?
No.
No.
Like, even if they decide to bomb America, like, I don't think he
I
would
guess
care.
maybe the markets, like,
Yeah.
to some extent.
Economics drives a lot of things, but I don't know.
Right.
Like,
But then,
but
the
what
moment
he'll do
Trump,
is just like
if Trump, again, imagine you're evil, okay, and you want the
he's
goodies in
gonna
my
find a
shop.
scapegoat for the markets anyway.
Yeah. But that's just how he's faced off in the past.
Yeah, but the markets are weirdly resilient under Donald Trump.
That's true.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. But this has proven to me that the markets are highly irrational. But even then, if Trump's whole thing, and I don't even think it's Trump. I don't think Trump cares about Iran that much. But there are definitely Republicans who do. There are definitely people in power in the United States who do care about Iran very, very much. And if his whole thing is he wants the oil, okay, he doesn't actually have to put boots on the ground, even if maybe he just wants to be a wartime president for the fun of it. But if his goal is money, okay, if his goal is money, he doesn't have to. He just has to keep killing your leaders. If you say no, I kill you, you're replaced by another leader. Do you say yes? No, I kill you, you get replaced by another leader. Eventually, someone's going to play ball. That's how I think he thinks. I don't know if he's correct, but if he is correct, he has unlocked a very new way of waging war, which is not even about the people. You just kill the leadership. And then everything else is kind of an accident, like the school children. And, you just make life hard until you capitulate. But this goes back, and the reason I don't necessarily believe that this is a possible idea, but the reason I don't necessarily believe this is because, like I said earlier, bombing doesn't seem to do that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't really bomb a people into submission. The people will fight harder. But what if you just ignore the people? You're not trying to get them to surrender. You're not trying to get them to do anything. You're just focused on the leadership. Like a few dozen people at any given time is all you care about.
Mm-hmm.
You can't scare the country, but maybe you can scare a few dozen people. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm strangely giving Trump more credit than he deserves here, because I think he's just following the Putin playbook. Whether or not it works, I don't think it works, because all of this requires that you don't care about any structural systems anymore. No more trade or trust. None of this matters. But what keeps weirding me out is that internationally, every country should have been pushing back against the United States for about a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
There's not really pushback against Trump. Everybody's trying to get Trump to say, okay, you can do that, but make me the exception. right? Do that to the other countries, but don't do that to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what gives him power. So I'm very confused if leadership in multiple countries are just stupid or cowardly, and I can't decide which.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like you said, the market. There's two forces that control the market. Do you know what those two forces are?
No.
Fear and greed.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Greed is the buy button. Fear is the sell button,
Yeah. That's true.
generally.
Wow.
You ladies look exhausted.
No, it's
But
okay.
like, if World War III, where do you think it will start? Do you know?
Taiwan.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But now that there's so many conflicts, I'm like, it might not start in Taiwan.
I mean, like,
Taiwan.
Okay.
why do you think that? Because, like, yeah, sure. Do you think China would take advantage of, like, the United States being
I believe
distracted
that. I believe that.
and, like, go for Taiwan?
No. I believe that China has an issue with Xi Jinping being up for the Comintern Diet Assembly meeting in 2028. And if
Oh, everything's
he,
happening.
like-
Everything's gonna happen in 2028, bro.
Bro,
Everything's
let me
gonna
graduate.
well, here
Wouldn't
not
it be
in-
funny if we can't even
it's
graduate?
not-
Because
it's not in
'Cause we're
it's not
brothers,
in
so.
2028 that's the problem. It's the fact that we have to do a temperature check on Xi Jinping's vibes. Is he feeling comfortable? Is he feeling like he's the grand leader of China and there's no threat to him? That there's nobody else in the party who's going to replace him or the Comintern? Does he feel nice and secure? Are people giving him belly rubs and head pats? If he feels secure, no conflict. Okay? If he feels like he's in charge and he's the most important person in China and there's no threat to his power, no conflict. Okay? But if the Chinese economy has issues, and if the housing bubble persists, and there's continued downturn in manufacturing, and more factories move to Vietnam and Cambodia and Indonesia, if the economy of China starts to
So what you're saying is that like he might start a war with Taiwan to like boost people's morale and like make them all favor him, because like there's a common enemy.
hey, nothing like reuniting the homeland.
Oh hell no, I'm crying. Wow, everything's
Good time to
gonna
switch
And-
citizenship.
guys. I'm so scared.
And what's really weird is that if
Stop
Biden or
taking
Harris,
up our space, bro. Stop taking
if
up our
Bi-
space.
sorry,
There we go.
sorry, is this better?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
If Biden or Harris were in charge, then the chance of war drops significantly. Ironically, because I truly believe if a Democrat were in power, then there's a near 100% certainty that the United States would defend Taiwan.
Yeah,
And that-
yeah. Because
and
even
that-
if Trump were not distracted, I don't think he would come to Taiwan's aid anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Trump is not an opposite, which makes this hard for China. But if it's Biden or Harris, then there's almost a 100, not a 100, but very high certainty that America will defend Taiwan, and that makes the logistics and the gamble very unattractive,
Yeah.
right? Because China would be surrounded. Singapore, where I live, would become a hotbed of military vessels to close off the strait to prevent oil from reaching China. China would be surrounded. The 9-dash line that China has been working on in the South China Sea, its purpose is to move American ships back. But in any kind of conflict, that just buys you time. It doesn't win the war by itself.
Yeah.
And so China's surrounded and isolated, and it would be in big, big trouble. If America is not going to defend, and so the question is, so basically the math says no. The math says this is a boondoggle, this won't work. Look, on a land campaign, look how poorly Russia did in Ukraine. And this would be across the water. And that makes it much, much harder. So given that, and given kind of the near certainty of Japan, Korea, America, Australia, Philippines, and a whole bunch of other people coming to Taiwan's defense, with America at the lead, the math would say no.
Mhm.
However, Trump is a wild card. And what I mean by that is I don't mean he wouldn't care. I'm saying how he would care would depend on the last person he talked to. Because as we know, he's very racist against Chinese people, and he thinks that China stole all the factories. So he has even though that's an American capitalist thing, he thinks they stole all the factories. And so he blames China. He thinks other countries pay tariffs. He's not a smart man. And so he doesn't like China. He's racist and he's ignorant. And so he has a grudge against China in particular already, which means maybe he would defend Taiwan. But he can also be bought. He could also want to say, you could want to bully Taiwan. And if Taiwan doesn't want to bribe him, then he'd be like, well, I'm not going to be there when you need it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on who's the last person who talks to him. And so I don't think Trump is a yes, we defend Taiwan. I think he's a much more honest question mark. We have no idea what he would do.
Yeah.
And
But
that
in
is
general,
less
I don't
certain.
think China will be able to win when it comes to like Taiwan. No.
So just to clarify for your podcast, I love China very much. I love the people. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the flavors. I don't favor governments in general of any country, and that's who I have most of the problem with. But when I speak about military prowess, part of what you need to realize is that America can wage a World War II level war twice in two different directions at the same time. That is American military doctrine. And that's stupid and crazy, but it's also the capability. The center powerhouse of American power abroad is their carrier fleets. And when you think about a carrier fleet, now the carrier fleets have shrunk since the old days of of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
But it used to be a carrier fleet was a single aircraft carrier, 2 battleships, several cruisers, many destroyers, attack submarines and nuclear submarines, to about 20 to 50 ships. Okay? Because it's called a carrier group. Because the carrier itself only has planes. It doesn't have any defensive equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? France has one of those without all the extra stuff. They just have the carrier, not the group.
Yeah.
Russia currently has 0 because the last one lit on fire in its dock. China has, I believe it just got a second one recently, and it's working on a third carrier. Again, not a group, just the carrier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many do you think America has?
No idea.
Like 10, maybe.
12.
Oh. Jesus.
They have 12, and they're all groups.
Oh. Shoot.
So American firepower on the ocean does not have an equal. Now, there are arguments that naval power is at an end, that the idea that naval power is very important, especially with cyber warfare, drone warfare, missile warfare, that the idea of ships is very old. But for power projection, it's still currently the model they're using. I mean, they're blowing up they're hitting Iran so very hard because of the carrier groups that are there. Right? That's the precision ability that they have. I think there's like 3 there right now. Okay. And so he's casually using 3. He's still got more he can use somewhere else. And that's the entirety of China's.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. So when we talk about a conflict with China, even if we give China a technological credit, which is to say we pretend that Chinese equipment is equal to Americans, and it's just not. But even if we give them that pretend, and we also give them the population value where they have a huge army, right?
Yeah.
The last time China fought a war was in 1979 against Vietnam. And it was for like a month. So there's not a lot of on-field expertise that China can rely on. America has fought a war kind of every 5 years for the last 50.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of practice. Okay. Secondly, China has no allies. Nobody's coming to help China.
Yeah.
India's not coming to help China. Russia's not coming to help China. Nobody's
Russia's
coming to
too
help China in a
preoccupied.
conflict. Meanwhile, if America was led by anybody other than Donald Trump, you would have South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Indonesia, New Zealand, Australia, England, India, possibly, depending on their mood. Probably Vietnam, Cambodia would join the coalition. It would just be all of Southeast Asia, Japan and Korea, Australia and Oceania against China and the United States.
Yeah.
That's an issue. So alliances are an issue.
Yeah.
But even if America fought alone in this, the amount of firepower that America could bring would mean that Americans would have casualties. I'm not pretending like it would be like you're seeing in Iran or in Iraq. It would not be that way. Americans would lose ships. China would lose cities.
Yeah.
Right? And so then the question becomes...
This is a great time to switch nationality.
And so this is a temporary situation, I have to stress. This is the current situation of the United States military industrial complex. If you add 50 to 100 years, I don't know how true it will be. Okay, it is that situation today. So when I talk about the American industrial complex, it's a broken thing. It's, Americans like to make the joke, find out why we don't have healthcare, right? And it's because that's where all the money goes. And it's a ridiculous amount of money. Now, not all that money is spent wisely. A lot of it is wasted, so it's not a perfect, efficient machine. But it is a very active machine, and it does produce a lot of death.
The cats are yelling.
The cats are yelling. One of the hopes China has, I would argue, in such a conflict, is that Ukraine has proven that the lower tech, smaller country, militarily speaking, could have an advantage if they're the home field. So, for example, could the United States invade China? No. That would not work. That would never, ever, ever, ever work. An invasion of China is, I imagine, an impossibility. Okay? An invasion of the United States is also an impossibility. So, and I don't mean by China, I mean by anybody. So, with these two impossibilities, what do you get? Well, it's not like two guys in the street punching each other. It's more like throwing spitwads across the street. Right? Yeah. And so the question is, it would be an economic conflict. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of death. And then the question is, does it escalate to nuclear weapons? Well, it depends on who's in charge, I think, more than anything. It doesn't really depend on the strategy, because nuclear weapons are not a strategy. They're a, I hate you, I don't want to play this game anymore, I quit, I'm taking the ball and going home button.
Yeah.
But when you take the ball and go home, everybody dies.
Yeah.
Okay. So does anybody push the button? Does anybody in this kind of conflict? Honestly, it's the highest chance, but I still think no. Because China could just give up on trying to take over Taiwan. Right? And then that would be the end of that.
Yeah, and then Xi Jinping won't be empowered then.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And then the question is, does China devolve into a civil war? That would be the immediate question.
Oh, Civil War Part 2.
Yeah. It's not like it hasn't happened before.
Oh.
But, yeah. I mean, currently, between the...
This family who lost all their money because of a bathtub.
Yeah.
Currently, between the two countries, I say America is much closer to a civil war than China. Like,
that's true.
Much
true.
closer.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
So, now if America has a civil war, will China try to take Taiwan? I'd put good money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, bad money on that. Blood money on that. But
yeah. Well,
that's where all the conflict with Japan comes from today. So, because Japan has started to change its military structure to be offensive and external.
Oh yeah, then the snap elections, but she doesn't have a majority in, like, which one was it? She only has a majority
in the Diet, I think.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the majority.
I don't remember though.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
Damn. Also,
But-
like BBC, not BBC talking about the Rijksmuseum, but not the snap elections in October though. Like, the priorities, brother.
So I want to go back again. We have about 10 minutes before I have to abandon
Yeah.
you, but I want to hear from you ladies. I talk too much.
Our biggest
is
fan
my
is coming
will.
to meet us again. Does
Where
the
is
biggest
she?
fan want to say hi? Oh, she's gone. Never mind.
Your biggest fan seems to abandon you frequently.
Yeah, well, she always shows up online though, so trust. Don't worry.
So, where are you ladies headed with this mentally? Like you're asking me all these questions, and I'm giving you excessively robust answers, perhaps. But
Yeah, well, it's fun. I don't know. I just kind of hope that all my education isn't wasted because World War III is gonna start.
Just
There's
continue
no such
education
thing.
after World War III.
there's no such thing as a wasted education.
That's also true.
You're learning to, like, a lot of people in education today think of education as a path towards a career, but I have never viewed education as that's the purpose. I view education as to make you a citizen of the world, to educate how to person correctly, right? It's about thinking and exploring a little bit of everything. So I don't believe, if you're studying science and technology and math and engineering and all these, if you're studying a wide variety of things, you waste nothing. I don't want an engineer who only knows engineering. I want an engineer who understands music. I want a scientist who can talk about the beauty of art and poetry. I want my politicians to understand sport. I want my, you know what I mean? Like I want an eclectic variety of knowledge. Maybe you're good at some of it and bad at some of it, but you should have a wide variety of knowledge. If you love the humanities, don't neglect the sciences. If you love the sciences, don't neglect the humanities.
Yeah.
So
where are you going with this?
you can neglect the cat though.
Scared.
Oh my god, Kopi, my baby! I never see her.
Yeah, she's meowing at me a lot right now.
Oh, the blue eyes.
You're fuzzy though. Come here.
A few moments later.
So you're worried your education will be a waste. I hope you don't feel that way as you're going forward. Are you
No, not
like
like a
really
waste,
stressed
but
with
as in like
jobs and relationships, or like are you just,
Like a waste.
because I have to ask.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you mean like a waste as in like you're not allowed to finish it?
Yeah.
Well, that would be sad, but
No, because like if I die, right, then it's like too bad, so sad, right?
I think I worry about how this is affecting your psychology.
That's
Like when
yeah,
I
I
was
get that.
15,
Yeah, wait.
My
can we,
biggest
can we like
worries-
stop this recording for a second? Let's just say bye. Okay, yeah, guys, bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and then because it doesn't
Okay.
take up much storage. Okay, say bye, Scott.
bye, Scott.